Good evening and welcome to NewsBand. My name is Lydia Odrada, bringing you the news. First, the headlines. Iceland court awards Nigerian man 60 million naira compensation for illegal imprisonment. Taraba community gets first tarred road since 1942. Black Saturday, 18 passengers burnt to death in Niger State auto crash. Don't let my miserable story stop you from believing in love, Tonto Dike tells fans. Mbaka followers stage protest against Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Onaga. First, the Iceland story. An appeal court in Iceland has awarded a Nigerian man 19 million kroner, that is 60 million naira, after being detained illegally for extra 9 months. According to a report by RUV, the investigation had led to a 2-month prison sentence. However, his time in custody was extended beyond the eventual sentence handed down in court. He further claimed damages from the Icelandic state as a result. Also, claiming compensation for the travel ban he was subject to between the end of his custody and the time the court made its final verdict. A district court had earlier ruled in the man's favor, ordering the state to pay the man 4.5 million kroner, that is 14.2 million naira in compensation. The district court ruled that Iceland should only compensate for the 5 months spent in custody in Iceland. It failed to hold the Icelandic state responsible for the 6 months the Nigerian man spent in custody in Italy, while authorities there processed the extradition request from Iceland. But the Court of Appeal ruled that the state was liable to pay compensation for the man's time spent behind bars in both Iceland and Italy. This was because the man was remanded in custody while Italian authorities worked on a request made by Iceland. The Nigerian man had been arrested alongside 3 Icelanders over an online crime committed in 2015, when an unknown man hacked into communications between an Icelandic fish exporter and a South Korean importer. The man got a South Korean company to transfer 54 million kroner meant to pay the Icelandic fish into a fraudulent account. The Icelanders were remanded in custody for a week, but the Nigerian for nearly a year. After trial, the court sentenced the Icelanders for money laundering by intent and sentenced them to 8, 10, and 12 months in prison. The Nigerian man was sentenced to just 2 months for the crime of money laundering by negligence. People sentenced to prison for financial crimes usually do not serve their full sentence in prison and can often serve as at least part of it in the form of community service. In this case, the person who was handed down by far the shortest sentence spent by far the longest time behind bars. As a result, the state has been ordered to pay him 19 million kroner, which is 60 million naira. Supporters of the Under Fire Adoration Ministry Director, Reverend Ejike Mbaka, has staged protests against the Catholic Bishop of Enugu Diocese, Bishop Callistus Onaga, 24 hours after he announced the closure of Adoration Ground. Hundreds of worshippers on Sunday morning stormed the Adoration Ground to protest the closure of the church. Some of the worshippers who expressed displeasure with the decision of the Bishop Onaga said his decision was too harsh as it affected innocent Catholic faithfuls. We don't think the bishop should have closed down the church over a comment made by our father and spiritual leader. One of the protesters spoke in Igbo. Mbaka has done nothing wrong. What he ever said was his personal opinion and not that of the church. So I wonder why the bishop should take such action against the church. Besides, he, Mbaka, has apologized. Another protester who spoke to our correspondent said the bishop's action will not affect Father Mbaka in any way. We are the ones being affected here. We are the ones suffering from this. He, Father Mbaka, has been more than a father to us. They will not commend him for the good he is doing, but will rather find fault in what he says. As at the time of this report, most of the worshippers were still seen at the adoration ground, dancing and singing, as they have refused to leave the premises. Terrorists on Sunday attacked another Catholic church in Kaduna State in the northwest region of the country. This is coming 2 weeks after terrorist attacks St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, in the southwest region of Nigeria. The armed terrorists invaded the St. Moses Catholic Church in Robo Oguwan Aku Kajuru local government area of the state as the church was rounding off its first mass. The terrorists killed 3 worshippers and abducted many others. Several others sustained various degrees of injuries. According to leadership, the terrorists stormed the church in large numbers and opened fire on the worshippers, during which 3 persons were killed before they kidnapped a yet-to-be-confirmed number of worshippers. The report noted that one of the victims was rushed to St. Gerald Catholic Hospital in the state. The Sunday, June 5th attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State left no fewer than 40 congregants dead and several others injured. Similarly, many communities in Kaduna State, especially Kaduna South, have been under recurring attacks, killings, abduction of persons, and cattle rustling. Gunmen abduct former NNF secretary. The details. The Bauchi State Police Command has confirmed the abduction of its former Secretary General of the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, Sani Toro, and a former assistant coach to the Super Eagles, Garba Leah Yila. The duo was said to have been kidnapped Saturday while returning to Bauchi from Abuja after attending a wedding ceremony of the son of the former NFF president, Aminu Maigeri. The Bauchi State Police Command spokesperson Ahmed Wakili confirmed the abduction. They said he's yet to get full details of the incident because it happened outside his unit. The son of one of the victims, Nasiru Toro, also confirmed that his father was abducted along Akwanga Road in Nasarawa between 7 to 8 p.m. while returning from Abuja. He said the abductors are yet to make contact with the families. Nigerian controversial actress Tonto Charity Dike has urged her fans to keep believing in love. In an Instagram post, the actress said, irrespective of her trajectory, love is a beautiful thing, but no one should give up on. Sharing a picture of herself on her Instagram page, she wrote, "Don't let my miserable failed love story or the failure of others' love story deter you from believing you can make it. Don't let others' poor choices determine your life and beliefs. That we fall doesn't mean we are failures. That we fail doesn't mean we are failures. We learn from each mistake and we keep on the fire. There are millions of beautiful love stories out there. It's just that misery love company. Hence, you see only bad news in the world today. Love is a beautiful thing. Love is so sweet and it's truly a gift to one another. And love doesn't hurt. If it does, that ain't love. Don't give up on love," she wrote. Tonto Dike has suffered 2 heartbreaks, one from her former husband, Churchill Olakunle, and Prince Joseph Wogri, who broke up with her in 2021. At least 18 passengers were burned to death in a ghastly motor accident involving a Toyota bus and a truck in Niger State. The accident occurred in the Gidan Mangoro area along the Mina-Bida Road, Mina, the capital of Niger State. The incident, which occurred at about 3 a.m. on Saturday, is said to have involved a Kano Line bus going from Lagos to Kano, but unfortunately had a head-on collision with a broken-down truck along the way. It was gathered that 18 occupants of the bus, including children and the driver, met their untimely death as they were burnt beyond recognition while their charred bodies were mangled. It was learned that the broken-down truck was almost in the center of the busy Minabida Road without any sign to warn other road users. Hence, the bus rammed into it and burst into flames, causing the death of the occupants. The accident was also confirmed by the spokesperson for the State Police Command, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, who said the only survivor of the accident was receiving treatment at an undisclosed health facility in Minna. No fewer than 6 persons, including a female member of the National Youth Service Corps, a pregnant woman, a mother and her 2 children, and a 70-year-old man, have been feared death in a passenger boat accident in Bayelsa State. They were said to have drowned as a result of the incident, which occurred on Saturday between Oktoa and Ayama in southern Ijo local government area of the state. According to reports, the boat, which had 15 passengers on board, rammed into a barrier in the waters and sank while approaching Ayama to berth amidst a heavy rainstorm. It was gathered that the passengers were covered with a tarpaulin to protect them from the rainstorm when the accident happened. The corpses of the casualties and the boats were still missing, even as a search team had been deployed in the area as of the time of this report. The unit chairman of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria at Otwa Community, Joseph Shadrack, said the boat driver, Christopher Lucky, had been detained by the police in Ayama for allegedly driving under poor visibility. He claimed that the preliminary investigation showed that the weather was bad due to the rainstorm, which had started before the boat moved. And finally, running mate placeholder has right of withdrawal, says constitutional lawyer Ajulo. Details. Renowned constitutional lawyer and coordinator of progressive lawyers for Osibanjo PYO, Dr. Kayode Ajulo, has said running mate placeholder has the right of withdrawal. Ajulo was responding to reports that the Electoral Act did not make provision for a running mate to withdraw. Though the speculations became rife after the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, adopted the placeholder method to beat the deadline of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. However, Ajulo in a statement said it is erroneous and a fallacy which is not supported by any provision of the law. The statement reads, "My attention has been drawn to a statement wherein it is maintained that a running mate has no right of withdrawal in our extant electoral law. This is purely erroneous and a fallacy that cannot stand and not supported by any provisions of our law and practice." Apparently, the unknown writer of the statement under review utterly and shamelessly turns the law on its head. Verily, the statement, it must be cautioned, is targeted towards a premeditated end. The law of the nomination and withdrawal of a nominee and candidate is an election. In an election is clear and without ambiguity. Once a running mate is nominated, he or she becomes a candidate of a joint ticket as a candidate in an election. The law permits such a candidate to withdraw his candidature within a specified time. For clarity, here's what the extant law says. Section 31 of the Electoral Act 2022 states thus: a candidate may withdraw his candidature by notice in writing signed by the candidate to the political party that nominated him for such election, and the political party shall convey such withdrawal to the Commission not later than 90 days to the election. The above provision also applies to the so-called placeholder. A placeholder in the political context under consideration is any person temporarily nominated to fill a position with the understanding that he or she will not seek the office nominated for in their own right, pending a substantive nominee. When a substantive nominee is presented as a substitute, it is primarily done to meet a deadline. This, he said, is called in politics and guides administrative process. With this, we've come to the end of a news for today. My name is Lydia, saying thank you very much for listening. And just before you hit the dot, please visit our social media handles, Facebook and Instagram, to follow us, and also like our YouTube channel, subscribe so you get the information whenever we get here. From me to you, thanks for listening. Good night.